Om Namo Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chair Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Dirye Nashtaprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 20th, Pure Devotional Service Surpasses Knowledge and Detachment. So Krishna is giving these instructions to Uddhavji. Text 21. Eshu vai paramo yogo manasa sangriha spritaha tirtyagyatvam anvichan damyasye varavato muhu. An expert horseman desiring to tame a headstrong horse first lets the horse have his way for a moment and then pulling the reins, gradually places the horse on the desired path. Similarly, the supreme yoga process is that by which one carefully observes the movements and desires of the mind and gradually brings them under full control. Nice example given here by Krishna himself. So just as an expert rider intimately knows the propensities of an untamed horse and gradually brings the horse under control, an expert yogi allows the mind to reveal its materialistic propensities and then controls them through superior intelligence. A learned transcendentalist withholds and supplies sense objects so that the mind and senses remain fully controlled. Just as the horseman sometimes pulls sharply on the reins and sometimes allows the horse to run freely, the rider never forgets his actual goal or destination and eventually places the horse on the right path. Similarly, a learned transcendentalist, even though sometimes allowing the senses to act, never forgets the goal of self-realization, nor does he allow the senses to engage in sinful activity. Excessive austerity or restriction may result in great mental disturbance, just as pulling excessively on the reins of a horse may cause a horse to rear up against the rider. So excessive austerity or restriction, but that depends. It varies from person to person. What is excessive for me might not be excessive for somebody else. I might think, oh, getting up early in the morning is too difficult, but for somebody who was really used to and who really enjoys getting up early in the morning and chanting, for him it's like, yes, I want to get up early in the morning. So that those limits, they're just different for different person. Scriptures talk about Mahabhagavats because those are our ideals. Yes, we should be like them, but we cannot imitate them. Haridas Thakur used to chant 300,000 names every day. And until he finishes his quota of 3 lakh names or 192 rounds every day, he would not get up to eat or drink anything. He could do that. We can try. We try on Nirjala Ekadashi, too many rounds. We try to do just to get a taste of it, just to get a hang of it. That yes, we can also do to a certain extent, not to imitate Haridas Thakur, but maybe 64 rounds, maybe 128 rounds. Maybe not every day, but we can still push ourselves. Let's do more. Because the real pleasure is in that only. It's not, afterwards, it's not an austerity. Just like in the beginning, when we started chanting, even 1 round was an austerity. Then slowly we came up, 4 rounds, 8 rounds, 16 rounds. Then 16 rounds is not an austerity, but it just, we have to train our mind. Oh, sit down and let's stand. But to go beyond 16 years could be an austerity. To follow the 4 regulative principles could be an austerity. To eat only Krishna Prasadam or to as far as possible. It could be an austerity for us. For others, they can remain hungry and still no problem at all. Yes, those are great ideals for us to follow, to get inspiration from. But everybody is on a different pace, different speed on this process. So that's why when it says excessive austerity, well, it just depends. Or restriction may result in great mental disturbance. Just as pulling excessively on the reins of a horse may cause a horse to rear up against a rider. So pulling up excessively on the mind, horse here is compared to the mind, can cause the horse to rear up. Rear up means to go against the rider. So mind may just say, no, I'm not going to do it. That's it. So that's an expert horseman. He lets the mind go its way, but then pulls the reins at the right time. And then mind understands, okay, this is not the right place for me. So that's it's further it says, the path of self-realization depends upon clear intelligence, and the easiest way to acquire such expertise is surrender to Lord Krishna. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Tesham satatyuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam. One may not be a great scholar or spiritual intellect, but if one is sincerely engaged in loving service to the Lord without personal envy or personal motivation, the Lord will reveal from within the heart the methodology required to control the mind. Expertly riding the waves of mental desire, Krishna conscious person does not fall from the saddle and eventually rides all the way back to Godhead. The mind will keep on playing its games with mind. It's been there since the beginning of our taking material bodies, and the subtle body is still the same: mind, intelligence, false ego. But we have to see how much we have to listen to the mind and how much the mind should listen to us. That balance we have to make. Just like, if I remember, Guru Nanak Dev also said something like, on the same lines, he said, he gave the example of a sitar, the musical instrument. He said, do not let the strings of sitar, don't let it be too loose, that the voice doesn't come out, but don't let it be too tight that they break. So same thing with the mind. So we have to tune it properly, but everybody's tuning will be different. Rest assured, everybody's tuning will be different. But we have to make sure that it is tuned properly tightened. Not too loose, not too tight. And then the sound will come out properly. Sankhena sarva bhavanam pratiloma anulomataha bhavapyayav andhyayana mano yavat prasidati. Unless one's mind is fixed in spiritual satisfaction, one should analytically study the temporary nature of all material objects, whether cosmic, earthly, or atomic. One should constantly observe the process of creation through the natural progressive function and the process of annihilation through the regressive function. Okay, what exactly does it mean? There is a saying that whatever goes up must come down. Similarly, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Jata Sidhruvam. For one who has taken his birth, death is certain, and for one who is dead, birth is certain. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. Mano yavat prasidati. Until one has established one's consciousness on the liberated platform of perfect knowledge, one must constantly ward off the attacks of illusion through rigid, analytic observation of material nature. So we, just like in the story of Dattatreya, he took 24 gurus. So means From everywhere he was learning something. But the material nature that we have to observe and understand, everything is temporary in material world. Everything, nothing is permanent. So why get so attached to temporary things? The material mind may be attracted to sex. Therefore, by spiritual intelligence, one should scrutinize the temporary nature of one's own body and the body that has artificially become the object of one's material lust. One may apply this rigid analysis to all material bodies, from the fantastic cosmic body of Lord Brahma down to the most insignificant germ. As previously stated by Lord Krishna, one who is advanced in Krishna consciousness spontaneously avoids sense gratification and is constantly drawn by spiritual love into his relationship with the Lord Krishna. One who has not achieved the platform of spontaneous Krishna consciousness must remain constantly vigilant so as not to be grossly cheated by the material energy of the Lord. One who tries to exploit the material energy ruins his spiritual life and experiences varieties of misery. So basically, like Prabhupada also said to his disciple, Shrutakirti Prabhu's American body, he said, you Americans, you like to flirt with Maya, be afraid of Maya. So basically here also it is said, we should not be flirting with Maya. And Maya is so strong, it is kicking us every moment, but we just don't realize it. And when we flirt, it is a grossly cheated by the material energy. So we get grossly cheated. We get thrown away so badly, but that until we take shelter of Lord Krishna's lotus feet. Of course, that's also Krishna's way of making us vigilant that without taking the shelter of his feet, there is no way we can make progress. No way we can get out of this Maya energy. Nirvinasya viraktasya purushasya vedina manastyajati doratmyam chintitasya. When a person is disgusted with the temporary illusory nature of this world and is detached from it, his mind, guided by the instructions of his spiritual master, considers again and again the nature of this world and eventually gives up the false identification with matters. Although it is difficult to control the mind, by constant practice, the mind can be spiritualized in Krishna consciousness. A sincere disciple constantly remembers the instructions of his spiritual master and thereby faces again and again the stark truth that the material world is not the ultimate reality. By detachment and perseverance, the mind gradually gives up its propensity towards sense gratification. Thus, illusion loses its grip on a sincere Krishna conscious devotee. Gradually, the purified mind completely gives up the false identification with this world and transfers its attention to the spiritual platform. Then one is considered to be perfect in the yoga system. So Arjuna also says in Bhagavad Gita, mind is very difficult to control. I can control the raging wind, but cannot control the mind. And Krishna gave him the solution. Abhyas and Vairagya, practice and detachment. So that is why practice is niyam and detachment is yam. So yam and niyam both have to go hand in hand to control the mind. So niyam, the practice is at least 16 rounds a day. And yam means detachment, don't do this, means the 4 regulative principles. That's it. And also niyam also means reading Prabhupada's books daily, serving the devotees, serving the deities, and other practices, whatever practices that can help us in making progress. We should adopt them. And this is what Rupa Goswami also says, that Anukulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam. Anukul, whatever is favorable for devotional service, just accept it. When whatever is unfavorable, reject it. Then slowly, this is what it says, the mind can be spiritualized in Krishna consciousness by giving it the higher taste. The lower taste slowly goes away. Yamadibhir yogapathar anvikshikya cha vidyaya mamarchopasana bhirva nanyar yogyam smarin manaha. Through the various disciplinary regulations and the purificatory procedures of the yoga system, through logic and spiritual education, or through worship and adoration of me, one should constantly engage his mind in remembering the personality of Godhead, the goal of yoga. No other means should be employed for this purpose. So no other means except constantly engaging the mind and remembering the personality of God. That Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Man mana bhav mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. The word va is significant in this verse, for it indicates that one engaged in the worship and adoration of the personality of Godhead need not trouble himself with the disciplinary, regulatory, and purificatory procedures of yoga, nor with the grueling intricacies of Vedic studies and logic. Yogyam, or the most appropriate object of meditation, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As confirmed through Vedic literature, one who directly takes to the worship of the Lord should not employ other methods, for full dependence on the Lord is in itself the supreme process of perfection. So that's full dependence means Bhakti Yoga. Worshipping the Lord, Bhakti Yoga. So basically, Bhakti Yoga is a topmost thing that we are engaged in by mercy of Prabhupada, mercy of Krishna, and we should be engaged more sincerely with more devotion in it. Yadi kuryata pramadena yogi karma vigarhitam yoge neva dahidanho nanyat tatra kadachana. If because of momentary inattention a yogi accidentally commits an abominable activity, then by the very practice of yoga he should burn to ashes the sinful reaction without at any time employing any other procedure. So there is no other atonement for a yogi except by the same process he should burn to ashes the sinful reaction. Means by bhakti only, by detaching one's mind from further sinful activity and engaging himself more in bhakti yoga, he should get out of the sinful reaction. The word yogena here indicates jnanena yogena and bhaktiya yogena. Since these two transcendental systems have the power to burn sinful reactions to ashes, it should be clearly understood that the word amhas, or sin, here refers to an accidental fall down against one's desire. Premeditated exploitation of the mercy of the Lord can never be excused. Well, not never be excused. That's a very harsh word, but it takes time because nothing is permanent in material world. So even if somebody has exploited the mercy of the Lord and has premeditated some sense gratificatory activity, yes, he has to go through the reaction. But then the Lord is so merciful, he brings him back. Significantly, the Lord forbids any extraneous purificatory rites, since the transcendental yoga systems are themselves the most purifying processes, especially bhakti yoga. If one gives up one's regular prescribed duties to perform a special ritual of penance, trying to purify a sinful reaction, then one will be guilty of the additional fault of giving up one's prescribed duties. One should pick up oneself from an accidental fall down and go on vigorously with one's prescribed duties in life without being unnecessarily discouraged. One should certainly lament and feel ashamed, or there will be no purification. However, if one becomes overly depressed at an accidental fall down, one will not have the enthusiasm to go on to perfection. When Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, for accidental fall down, even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. The most important point is that one should be properly engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, for then the Lord will excuse and purify an accidental fall down. One should, however, be most conscious to avoid such an unhappy event. So because the mind is so strong and the Maya is even stronger, and our sanskaras, whatever sanskaras are there from so many previous lifetimes, so many desires are there, unfulfilled or partially fulfilled desires are there in the mind. So even one is running on the path back to God, there are chances of falling down. And the fall down can only happen for one who's running. One who is crawling, there cannot be any fall down. So for one who is running or one who is walking, at least, there can be fall. But there is no other atonement except to pick oneself up and start doing bhakti more seriously. That's all. And understanding that all of us are in the same position, same situation. That's all. Simple thing is, simple understanding. If we were not sinful, we wouldn't have taken birth here anyway. So we all are. We all have committed something or other, and plenty of those sinful activities. So that's why we are here. And just the mercy of Prabhupada that he has brought us into bhakti, Prabhupada and the devotees. So the process is to help each other. Prabhupada, when he started ISKCON, if we read about it, what kind of disciples he had, and afterwards also people who joined, hippies, they were used to breaking all the four principles every day. Not just once in a while, every day. And it's not like they gave up on those activities just because they met Prabhupada. No. It went on. Prabhupada tolerated, gave them his divine association, engaged them in the searches for Krishna, and kept pushing them, kept motivating them. And whatever little spark he saw in anywhere, saw in somebody, for whatever kind of devotion service that devotee could, he fanned that spark instead of harping on the shortcomings of that person. He fanned that spark. And that spark became fire and it burnt away other sinful tendencies. And even if it didn't burn away, like I think I told the story of a devotee who took sannyas and he served Prabhupada so much, but after Prabhupada left his body, that devotee, although he was sannyasi, he fell down. Fell down means he had sexual union with another man. He was a gay. So he was not in ISKCON anymore, and he came back to Los Angeles and he was living with his partner. And after a while, he got sick and his partner called ISKCON temple in LA. And he said, one of your persons is here, come take him. And when devotees went to see him, they saw this ex-Maharaj was there and he was suffering from AIDS. He was very sick, very thin, and they brought him to the temple. The house is near the temple. They kept him there. They served him. because he had done great service for Prabhupada. And the devotees were there every day to chant with him, to let him hear Bhagavatam. And this is how, in the association with devotees, finally he left his body. So it's not that even if somebody committed sin because of premeditated or because of his no or less control on his mind or his senses, Krishna still looks at whatever services we have done. And yes, some purification process will be there, some rectification will be there, but Krishna ultimately knows. Because we have committed sinful activities for billions and trillions of lifetimes. But still Krishna has given us a chance. And Krishna will still give us further chance. So no doubt about that. The only thing is, yes, we should try not to commit and help each other. That's the most important thing that Krishna is looking at. Helping each other, being compassionate, being caring for each other, caring for the spiritual life, and not harping on the material shortcomings. That will make us more compassionate, more devoted, more caring, and more beloved in the eyes of Krishna. That is devotion service. And that's where we have to make progress. Okay, I guess I can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Wonderful teachings, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And especially verse number 21. Really good.
Yeah. Chalo. Thank you all very much. You all have a
Thank
safe
you very
and
much,
wonderful.
Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.